going into next week. Good morning, Russ. And
hey guys.
And the following week. So it's quite a few of us are going to be on the hot trip. Good morning, Darren. I think the last handful of people who joined, so myself, Jim Orlando, Julio, and Darren will all be on the hot trip coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So what's the best way to handle this meeting? Do we want to, I don't know if we can really cancel the meetings, but do we want to try and do a meeting that's more convenient to the folks that are going to be down in Arizona time? Find a time slot that works down there? Or how do we want to continue on with the meetings? Just for the next few weeks.
I think, just off the top of my head, isn't Arizona time on the same time as Mexico time?
No,
it's one.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be calling any meetings at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You guys have no clue how busy we're going to be, so.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. So
touch meeting or something if it's an emergency. We could do touch meetings depending on where we're at on timing and stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can do something like if we find that we have a couple hour window, like try to call a meeting. I just don't know if it's going to work. So what's the best way to go forward with trying to have these meetings? Should we just keep the meeting time the same and TNG can join? Probably Daniel Budem can join. There's probably a handful of people from the app team that can still join. But I know that this Stellantis team will also be pretty light.
Oh, and Brian's going to be with us too. So
Brian's going to be with us too. Right.
For the tank side, I know that, but the fill pipe side is a little bit different. So,
or we can just try to do emails. All right, when people get time to email back and forth. Well,
yeah, whatever. Well, the other thing too is depending where we're at, we won't have that good a reception sometimes. So,
right, it would have to be an odd time, right?
Well, where are we at? I mean, what if we look at all three platforms? I think the 48 we're halfway decent. We need to focus on the hot button issues, keep the management and everyone happy and timing going too, right? So I guess we should do it like that. Have a quick meeting or whatever if it's emergency, like you said, text or emails. If somebody really needs something, we can step aside to help each other out if it's going to be a showstopper.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get through. Let's start these open issues. As I mentioned in the very, very beginning of the meeting, TNG is not going to be able to join us today. He's going to be concentrating on getting some work done, and he has a lot of things to present for next week. So he's trying to get those things done. But today we just started the 26-gallon line. We'll just touch point on all these. So updated presentations on track for Monday. That would be all the sim studies that need to be redone based on the changes that he made. Strap design, again, we're going to review that on Monday. No change to that. FDM, so yesterday we were looking for latest FDM from Finia. Did we receive anything for the FDM throughout the day yesterday? I'm sorry, 27 and a half.
No. So I noticed we didn't have the latest shell on Team Center, and we needed to share it with Finia so they can design flow down.
Just an update on that one. The study file is already updated in Team Center as per today morning.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Like half an hour ago, Julio. Sent you an email.
Oh, I see. Let me check if I can see the latest baseline, and I'll confirm.
Sure.
All right, so armed with that information, Finia can update the float arm and get that back to us then. How long does it typically take them to upload or to adjust the float and upload?
Sometimes it's very quick. It's like 1 week, but for the last time they took longer, like 2-3 weeks. And at this moment, the product engineer is away. He's on vacation. I don't know when he's coming back.
Well, can we put the target for 1 week, and then when we get to that, we can adjust the target? Unless you think that that's totally unreasonable, in which case we can put something else.
No, I think 1 week is
Okay.
realistic.
All right. FDM clearance study. Okay. Similar issue. They'll be able to complete the entire clearance study once they, since they have the tank now, and that'll include everything, any other changes that they might need to make due to the new tank shell. Incorporating lessons learned. So I think Tianchi provided some information on this. I don't know that we ever actually talked about it after the fact. I'll send a note to him. VHR, so I think we were waiting for the updated FDM on this, and they were waiting for the updated tank from us. Is that correct? Is that what we talked about yesterday?
Yep, I have the latest.
Oh, do you have? Okay, you have it. Okay. So, can we close this one at this point, or should we keep it open due to any changes that might happen?
Second option. Keep it open.
And DVPNR sign-off was the next item. So, just to talk about the DVPNR real quickly, I did go through the DVPNR and updated all of these planned start and complete dates for the 48 gallon. Our current DVPNR that I have, I did not find one that had multiple tabs for the different tank versions. It looks like we had all of them on this one version, and even in the top section it showed all three product numbers.
Yeah.
So I can copy this DVPNR and create new tabs for each version, right? For the 27.5 and the 46, and we can have those three separate DVPNRs. But wanted to get the buy-in or the confirmation that the dates that we have for the 48 are good. And then I don't know if there are any other conversations that were had about using any surrogate information from one tank to the next. I didn't really think that there would be necessarily, but I didn't know if there was any of those conversations previously. So I guess, Jim, you had mentioned that you had a couple of questions about the updates.
My only question was when you looked at the okay, so you have a lot of 11-1 dates or 11-11, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think on 11-11 it's all trial run. My mind was that if any of those 11-11 were needing fixtures or mating parts, and I didn't see any that did, that you'd be kicking off stuff in October or something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I couldn't, just quickly going over it, it looked like it was all plant stuff.
Yeah, I think most of those.
I was trying to segregate it by the start, you know, and
Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work because of the way that the thing is formed.
So I don't think they're going to need any special equipment for do pull testing or kickoff before they do the trial run stuff. That's all I was going to bring up. And the second thing, I saw a lot of dates in February, which a lot of this testing is going to be done in China, and to make sure that it's not around the New Year's shutdown, which are promising.
Gotcha.
China New Year's or whatever.
So yeah, so the 11-11 date was based on, you know, we would start those tests, you know, basically a week into the trial run, and then we gave the time until after the trial run was completed to get these tests done. So that's where that 11-11 came from. I think going through the DVPNR, anything that was 11-11 would have been in one of these, this orangey colors, the control plan testing. I don't think I had any starting 11-11 for any of the tests that were in, you know, the white, like the outside lab stuff.
Yeah. Okay. That's
okay. So,
and
I mean, I just,
what was the other dates? 2-something, the February stuff.
2.
I thought it was
yeah.
2026.
Sorry, I'm going fast. I know it's probably hard. 2/21.
Yeah, that is. I don't know Chinese New Year's, but if you're planning on starting a lot of testing, you might want to look on the calendar to see what the 2026 Chinese New Year's dates are. February
17 through the 3rd. That's good catch.
Yeah.
According to the internet.
I promise something you can't deliver on, so.
That's why I wanted to have the team look at it.
But even for those New Year, or even for those February dates, then you got to make sure we back out of it the fixtures. Like like you can't start a part on that date without a fill pipe or canister, whatever it is you need the mating parts. So keep that in mind too. I don't know how many of them need, like that tank assembly burst has to be in a fixture.
Yes. So, and
This
maybe Jim, we need to have an offline conversation, but
Yeah,
we're not building those fixtures, right? China HQ is going to build any fixtures.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're responsible for timing and making sure they have it to start on the 21st, right?
Yep.
So I know it's those ways out there, but
yeah,
put on there like people are beating to this drum and saying, "What's the bottleneck?"
Right. So I will. I'll take the 2/21 date because that's not going to be a real date. There's no way. I'll push that one back to avoid the Chinese New Year. We'll see how that timing works out. I put this little note here so I can go through and double check that. The other the other one that I had noted, find it here. There is some of the control plan level testing. Here it is for the some of the welded components. So we have to do soaked and unsoaked. I did change the soaked to the Yap China plant for them to do that test because I don't think that Yap Mexico can soak the parts. We don't typically have that ability. So Jim, unless you know that they can do that soaking, or if do we have a lab that you've ever worked with in Mexico that can soak those parts for us?
Oh, but I can get that done at Intertech, not far away, and switch them back. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it does that. We don't have anyone on from Mexico, or we have to ask that. Because I don't know that they have to soak any tanks right now.
I would make the assumption that they probably do not. We typically don't want to have like fuel storage at our plants for safety,
right.
OSHA type reasons.
That's exactly why I was thinking we shouldn't do that. Now, we could ship the parts away to,
yeah,
and then have them soak the parts and then ship the parts back. I don't know how easy that is to do, right? I know for the local programs here, we're able to just drive up to TRP and our own.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that's a special fuel. So we got to ask Mexico, because that fuel, even at TRP, takes weeks to get the E-27 or whatever we're soaking in.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it might be better for us to take the tanks, ship them to Yap China, so they can do the test, right? They can do the soaking, and then they can do the pull test and whatever else, component strength and internal and external soak parts.
Yeah, I would make
rather
that,
than ship parts back and forth.
I would make that assumption.
Well,
like for timing, that's going to be your longest duration for the shipping and conditioning.
Yeah.
So make that assumption, and then we'll look into the options, and if something ends up making more sense, then it's only going to be better timing. So.
Yep. Right. Any concerns, Julio, from your side on that? Or make sense?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay. All right. Were there any other items that jumped out at you, Jim?
No, I just want to make sure that we captured some orders that are due for China for that testing we talked yesterday about, for I think it's April now or whatever, because that's a critical test. And even for these parts, the orders like the 2021 date, the 221 dates that we have, there's always a shortage, and I know, and a lot of people on this call know, we're always struggling for early parts and modules and mating parts and all that, and it's a scramble. If we don't have the numbers precise and extras, we never have enough internal bundles, stuff like that. So you know what I'm talking about, Dave. We're going through that.
You're talking about for the build requirements for the X0A?
Yeah. Well, even the early builds, the 1111 builds or stuff, pay attention to the internal bundles or anything that we need, ICBs, modules, whatever dates for all these dates. So we're always scrambling because nobody wants to spend money to order extra parts. Just make yourself an internal note and all that. So, you know how, like, even for these hot trips and all this stuff, oh, well, we need 3 tanks, we need 3 modules. Oh, well, you should have put your orders in 6 months ago. There's a 12-week lead time for modules or internal bundles and stuff like that. So when you're barking out these orders and these dates, our orders need to be more concise. I don't care if it's a strap, a nut, a bolt, an FTIV, whatever. The last year has just been a nightmare with this stuff. Shortages on everything. So like you go to do, if you look at your sample sizes on your DVPNR, you're like, I get tired of people, oh, well, can you take the tanks from the burst and use them for this and that, that kills your timing. So we can go over that offline or whatever, but.
Yeah, and I think that would be more for our side. Generally, it's more on the.
No, it's not just for our side, it's for their side. When they ask you want 6 tanks to go up to Chelsea to do a sled test and stuff like that, and we don't have enough tanks or we don't have enough ICVs or whatever.
Right. So that generally doesn't. It's not really this first trial run, but it's once we start getting into delivering parts. So yeah, in this middle section here, we need to make sure we're covering for everything. And I know, you're right, Jim, because we've had some struggles getting parts for racks and things like that, rack validation and such. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of talking about, right? Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So I will. I'll go back through the DVPNR. I'll double check any of these tests that overlap the Chinese New Year's, and I'll adjust those, and then hopefully I can get this out to you, Julio, today. And then if we can agree that it looks good and we've accounted for everything, we could duplicate this, create their own tabs, and then we can start filling in the dates for the other versions. Or if you'd prefer to just wait at this point, we can make a copy of it and then send them out separately. So we'll have a DVPNR for the 48 gallon and then a separate one for the other two tanks. What do you think is best?
I think it's best to have one file for each variant.
A unique file for each. Okay. All right. So we'll plan to do that.
Speaking of that, Dave, when you were just showing the master timing, like for the XOA or whatever, do we have 3 separate dates with 3 different part numbers for that? Yeah, so 48.
Yeah, so we've got the 48 here.
All 3 separate. All separate.
There's
These two are on one.
There's two
those
two timelines for all 3. The 48 gallon is a unique timeline, and then the other 2 variants share a common timeline.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yes, this is 48, and then here's the other 2.
I was just curious how close they were. Hopefully they're not. Like, is it XOA? What's the difference?
I think
in
it's
days?
about
Just curious.
about 3 months.
3.5 months. So XOA is 629 for these, and for this one it is 330.
Okay. Thanks.
Let's see, X1 is 720. And X1 is 1019. So yeah, about 3 months. Do these dates make sense? Julio and Rodolfo, these are still. I think we went over the 48 gallon, but these haven't changed, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, just those dates are okay.
All right. Are there any other items that we should add to the 27.5 gallon tank to start talking about? Oh, there's quite a few items on here. We're waiting for updates for Monday. Are there any other items that needed to be discussed?
Yes, we can put on the partner models. It's going to be, in this case, most of the information is going to be exactly the same that was loaded on the 48 gallon grid. we're gonna have a specific grid for those two tanks. And in this case, the DP tanks, I think that we can have a single grid for DP program only, putting together both part numbers of the tanks.
Both together. Any other specific items for the 27.5?
I have a couple issues that
Go ahead.
I don't know where we're tracking them. This is for all three tanks, specifically the 48. Now that we're dialed in, did we ever get back to the planner record for the FLVBs and working with whoever we need to, as far as the what FLVB we're going to use and control that shutoff light and all that, and that would be for all three platforms now, right? I think, well, the 48 is packaged. Then we have to go back and just get studied. It needs to be done on what FLVB we're going to put into the flange, and then for all three programs, are all three flanges the same? And that studies, if we're waiting on for the VHRs, all this important, and also the study that we just went through on the RU, that we have the direction from the module suppliers and Stellantis for the stroke and all that stuff. How are we managing all that? So that we have the right data we need from Stellantis and the module suppliers for the stroke, and that testing for the pressure vacuum testing on all three platforms. And then the same question was, what are we doing for FLVBs? We're trying to keep them all the same, but we're going to dial that in later. At what point? Before the February date or the November date? Because all those open issues are going to come up. And we have Darren on, I don't know, because we're going to have to play with Eaton, right, to left now. Figure out what the final FLP part number we're using, right? 48 is first, we have time on the other two. And that stroke input with data for the module. I'm assuming all the three module flanges are the same, right? Or are all three of these modules going to have different strokes and springs and tensions and all that?
So I would assume that the module, the stroke disc, the springs, and all those things might be unique because the heights are different.
Right.
Guide rod lengths are unique and that stuff, but I haven't really studied the FDMs that well. I would also assume that Stellantis is going to try and keep the flange the same. But Julio, you probably the most familiar with the FDMs. Is that accurate?
Yep, the flange is the same for the three tanks, and the guide roads are unique. So each tank has a different install height.
So, Julio, are you having like weekly meetings with PHINIA separate meetings with you and Tom Thornburg and others in Stellantis, or is...
Yeah, we have a weekly meeting on Fridays for the LDMs, and we also have a meeting on Mondays with the YAP.
Yeah, that's sort of the case. Okay. I just want to let you know, Dave, I don't know if we're going to need all that for our studies and to make sure we're clean on that, because, you know, like, that came up for all the stroke and the spring tensions and all that. And then the other thing that came up, this is unique compared to other programs because this FLVV snaps into the flange, so.
Yeah, I think so.
Supposedly, I keep hearing that, like what Darren will say, there's so many off the shelves, we don't have to worry for a millimeter here and there to get our 48 gallons, but I don't want to get stuck like, there's this one perfect storm that they don't have that, and then you have to kick off new tooling and all that stuff. So I don't know who's going to manage that interface or how we do that, but we're getting closer to that phase, so we need to keep going.
Yeah, I think that's part of the VHR and that study, right? We need to tell them where we need the shut off, and then they need to design the valve to be in the right location and that stuff, right? So if we need a 31 or 27 or whatever the shut off height is, that's on PHINIA's side to manage that and make sure that they're, adjusting their design to meet, right?
Yep, that's how we have been working with PHINIA. Basically, you give us the shut-off height to Stellantis and PHINIA, and they go and talk to Eaton to find a FLVV with that specific or the approximate shut-off height.
Yeah, and since we EKTO'd the 48, we need to finalize that, right?
What do you mean by finalize?
Well, like, because remember when we were going to change the tank design and it was 48, we packaged it and we said we can only do 47.5 gallons, 47.7. We were looking at that, so just trying to find out if PHINIA and all of us together as a team.
Jim, that was for the frame change, which was canceled. So we are back to 48.
I understand all that. So now we're at the point, if everything is being finalized, let's say here's the module, here's the flange, here's the FLVV plan of record we're going to go with, in that part number or whatever, that call out in that print, right? That's all I'm getting at. Just not lose sight of that, because we really never finalized that, right? We were bouncing around, right? So whatever it is off the shelf that we're using for an FLVV, because they're gonna, that comes back to the whole complete packaging, that we can hit 48 gallons plus or minus 98 and 102 on the tank design. So that when we make these tanks and they do the trial run in November, we have the right volume on our side, and the module and the flange when it goes in there. Like if they're going to be doing a trial run in November, I'm just curious in my mind, if we were to put a flange in there with FLVV and everything, we did a quick fill test, are we going to hit our rated capacity? That's all I'm getting at, Daniel.
Okay.
This November is right around the corner. Okay, thanks, Dave. If you already have no open issues, I'm good. I just wanted to raise that flag.
Yeah, I think we have related items with those, but I'll try to throw a spot for some notes here on the FCM just to have it.
And we can do it. We're on the Monday meetings with PHINIA. I forgot about that, and we can ask that question if they have a part number with Eaton or whatever, and because PHINIA could come back and say, this is the flange, this is the sender arm, and we have these tolerances for our module swing and a sender arm. You might need to move the top of your tank, the bottom of your tank, or whatever. That's all I'm getting at. There's always all these, same thing with the spring compression and all that. We're getting close now. we're kicking off a mold soon, and like I said, early test parts are going to be made in November. So.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Well, if there's no other new items to add for the 27.5, let's jump on down to the 47.5, I guess. So we had a meeting back in the beginning of July regarding the skid plate and the strap design. I believe that is Dan Craigle, is he on? Dan's on.
Yep, I'm here. It is.
Oh, there he is. So we talked briefly yesterday about the slightly smaller tank, and we needed to make some changes to the strap design. On the other tank, the skid plate, how is the design looking from your end? I think we said yesterday it was looking real good, but what's the latest? Are there any changes that you've asked Tianchi to make on these?
You're talking 47.5 gallon skid
Yeah,
plate?
yes, the big boy. Yeah, big one with the skid plate.
It's looking real good. That analysis came back, and the spring back was quite a bit. So we had nearly 10 millimeters of deflection with the 2x2 load as specified by Stellantis. And the spring back, I'm working from memory, it came back to like 4.7, but it was below 5. And that number is significant, the 5, because that's the current in production clearance, we believe, of the current skid plate from it to the tank shell. And so it's always nice when those kind of things jive together, as it seems to be doing here. And so the initial assessment, Dave, is good.
All right, so load study, and that was a 2x2.
Yep, as specified by Stellantis.